morning and welcome to our channel. Today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing some woodworking. I have a Facebook page that I sell items on. It's St. Cloud Crafty Crew, and I make different items out of wood, out of steel, any of my epoxy type things that I've sold. My daughter does t-shirts, so there's a lot of different random things on our Facebook page. But today, I got an order from someone in Colorado. Her sister, I guess, bought these. They're called Welcome. It's a Welcome, and they're with Interchangeable Os. And so she lives in Colorado, and her sister had bought them here at one of the craft shows here in Florida. And so she contacted me and asked me if there was any way that I could send her some more O's. So today I'm going to be making some O's. I'll show you what the Welcome looks like so you have an idea of what we'll be doing today. This is the Welcome I was talking about. And you can see they're just little wooden letters. And then you can interchange the O's as the season goes. Right now I have an umbrella. And then you could put like the 4th of July. I have several different, but there's for the Welcome for that. And then one of the other ones is this really fun one. If it's your birthday, you can put that up for the month. But I have all different types of O's, but this is what we'll be working on today. And I hope you enjoy. Okay, so to start off, basically I've just taken some tracing paper and traced a pattern on here. The tracing paper you can get at Walmart for a roll of it, but I just usually trace my patterns on here, and then I just use a piece of carbon paper. And the material I'm using is 1/4 inch underlayment that I got from Home Depot. And then I think originally this was like a 1x10. It's just a short piece I have. So, and that's, you know, again, it's just lumber I can get at Home Depot. Okay, so to start off, I need, basically, if you look, which the flip-flop is one I don't have a pattern of, but if you look at these, I've made a pattern out of the, that's 3/4 inches thick, out of the regular wood. And then I've also made out of the 1/4 inch underlayment, and I put that on top so it kind of has a little 3D effect. And then also I have a doll, wooden doll rod, and I got these from the Dollar Tree. You can get a packet of them for $1. And then this here is just a piece of felt that I cut out, and then I just put a little bit of paint on the edge so it kind of looks like a little flame. So that's one of them I have to make. And then the other one was she asked for a flip-flop. And so on the top here, and I've already cut some of these out previously when I was doing these for my last craft show. So I'm just gonna go ahead and trace around one that I have. Makes it a little easier than trying to do it with the tracing paper. And a little tip, if you have a bunch of these to cut out and you're cutting out of the thinner material, what I do is I'll stack up, like I'll cut just a little square, and then I'll cut up like six of them, and then I'll put like a nail and in like the corner here, and maybe a nail here and up here, and then I can cut these out. And then I'll have 6 of them at once. So I'm not hand cutting one by one. But since I only have an order for one right now, I'm only gonna do one of these. Same with the top of the birthday cake. Since I only have an order for one, I'm just gonna do one of them rather than do a stack of them. But that is a quick and easy way to do a lot of these at one time if you're doing these in bulk. And then this goes on the flip-flop. All right, so there's those 3. They're ready to go. And then I do not have a pattern, which I thought I saved one, but apparently I did not, for the underlayment of the paw. And the paw I will have to use the tracing paper on that one. You just lay it on there, kind of line it up. I try to not waste any wood because, as you know, wood is really expensive right now. So I try to get them as close as I can. And you don't have to be real specific on these. These are handmade, so if one varies a little bit, it's not that big a deal. You know, it's just to your own liking what you want them to look like. Okay, and then I need to cut this center out. And then I'll make holes in here with a drill once we get to that point. But as you can see now, I have all my 1/4 inch pieces ready to go. Now I need the 3/4 inch wood here. And again, I go through the same process. I just here's the cupcake. Lay the cupcake out. Put my carbon paper under there. And as you will see, the cupcake is out of the 3/4 inch, and all the other pieces that have something laid on top of it, they're just a little bit smaller because I kind of want this hanging over a little bit, as you can see. So that way it doesn't have to be real perfect. It can match up however. All right, now we got that one done, and then I need a flip-flop. All right, and a paw. And again, like I said, I'm going to draw this paw just a little bit smaller than my 1/4 inch material, because basically the 1/4 inch material is going to be sitting, you know, on the front of this. So I don't need it exactly the same size, because if it is the same size and it doesn't match up perfectly, then you have an issue. So I try to cut it just a little smaller so that that won't matter on it. Okay, so there's the paw, the flip-flop, and the cupcake, what she ordered. And then she also wants the American flag, but the American flag, I'm going to cut this out on the table saw because it needs to be square. And it's really hard to cut anything square out on just the bandsaw. So let's go back to the bandsaw and get. All right, so here we are at the bandsaw. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. What I'm using is an 1/8 inch blade on here because the tight turns I have to do. It makes it difficult if you don't have a really thin blade. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. It's going to be noisy, so I'm going to fast forward through this, but at least you can see how I'm cutting this out and how I'm doing this. Okay, as you can see, I cut a little slot in here because technically you could do this with your little jigsaw, drill a hole in here, and then that way you don't have to cut this. But for what this does, it really doesn't matter to me. So what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of wood glue in there, clamp that back together again, and you'll never know that I even cut through there. Now the next step is I need to cut my dowel off to the correct size. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. And then I also need, in the end of my dowel, I need a little slot in there to be able to stick that little felt flame. You can see I've cut a little slot in there to put that little flame in there now. All right, and now I'm going to do the 3/4 inch. Okay, so now that I've got my 3/4 inch, I've got all of my 1/4 inch, and I've got my dowel rod with the slot in the end. My next step is to go over to the drill press and put some holes in the paw, and then also I need to drill a hole in the top of this so that I can put my dowel in here. So let's go over there. Okay, I'm over at the drill press now. I'm using a little Forstner bit, a 1/4 or half inch to do the holes in the paws. So I got a little scrap piece of wood because I'm going to go through a little bit. I don't want to drill into the table. So there's the holes in my little paw now. And then I also need to drill a hole in my cupcake. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not real quick on measuring. So I know this is a 1/4 inch dowel, but my question is, how do I know which drill to use? So if you're not sure, my little quick tip, let me get the camera here turned around. My little quick tip is, if it fits in the hole that the drill bit came out of, chances are it's gonna fit. So, or you can just go, it is a 1/4 inch dowel, and go the next size bigger. It's either way. But if you're not sure, you know, stick it in there, make sure, and then that is the best way to figure out if you're not sure on the size of your drill bit. Drop the table down. All right, so if you can't drop the table down any further, what you're gonna have to do is raise up your drill bit. Okay, so we're ready to go. Perfect fit. All right, now, next what we need to do is to sand our items. I'll take you over to the sander and we'll get these sanded up. So on these, I'm just gonna sand these off because they're a little bit rough, and I'm gonna kind of knock the edges a little bit just to make them a little nicer. On here, you don't need to do much sanding because this is pretty good wood. And so I'm just gonna sand these up real quick, and we'll go to the next step. All right, as you can see, everything is sanded. And now my next step will be to go ahead and I put a sealer coat on these because the paint really soaks into these, and plus it'll raise the grain again because we're using a water-based paint. So just acrylic paint that you can get, you know, like the Apple Barrel or something you get at Hobby Lobby. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and seal this, and we'll go to the next step. Okay, as I said, I cut through this one, so I'm going to just use some old wood glue, maybe. I'll put it in that crack. All right. Always good to have baby wipes around. Okay, so as you can see, I've put glue in that crack, and then I'm just going to put this in here. And I'm not going to tighten it much. It's not going to need much. And as you can see, the crack totally disappears. And you'll never even know that I cut it. I do wipe the inside and outside off because it's hard to sand those, but the front and the back I can easily sand, so that's not a real big deal. So, but that I'll let sit and dry. And while I'm doing that, then we can come over here to these items. Now, like I said, I just use Krylon crystal clear satin to seal these with. Now, just be aware that right now I'm luckily in my shed, and so I have plenty of ventilation out here. But make sure whenever you're using, you know, any type of spray, that you have good ventilation. You don't want to be doing this inside the house. All right, so I gave them a good spray. I'll let them dry, and I'll flip them over, and then I'll spray them again. And then what I'll do is I'll come back in and hand sand these, because this will raise the grain a little bit, and I want my finish to be nice and smooth. So I'll let these dry, but I'll take you out and we'll get the flag cut out on the table saw. Okay, so now I'm at the table saw. I'm going to be making the flag. As you can see, the flag is nice and square. And on a bandsaw, that's about impossible to do that, especially with my dull blade that I had. Unfortunately, I have them on order, but they haven't come in yet, and I had to get this order done, so I had to deal with a definitely a dull blade. As you can see, this is not square at all, so I'm going to rip this, square it up, and then I'm going to measure it and make it the size of my flag. We have a flag. There's the flag. I'll go sand that, and we'll be ready to seal it also. Welcome back. So as you can see, I've got everything sealed, and I sanded some of it, but I still have this one to go. I'm using 200 grit sandpaper, and you always want to remember you want to sand with the grain. That means you can see the lines going this way. You want to sand that way. Makes a lot nicer finish. And you can feel the difference once you've sanded it. It feels kind of rough and scratchy when you first start, and then when you You can feel how nice and smooth it is. You don't want to sand off all of the sealer. Basically what you're doing is you're just, you know, knocking off the high bumps, I guess, and making it nice and smooth again. It makes for a really good painting surface. On the little 1/4 inch ones with the underlayment, I use the 200 grit on the front. But the back, as you can see, the back kind of splintered a little bit. But again, that really doesn't matter because we're going to be gluing that down. So I usually take 100 grit sandpaper on that and knock those little pieces of wood off that have splintered a little bit. Okay, so everything is ready. I blow off my surface so I don't have any sandpaper dust around. Okay, so, and as you can see on this one, this is the one I glued. And you can tell that you can't even see where I glued it. It's right here actually, but you can't even tell that. So it goes so much easier than have to go through multiple steps on the jigsaw. Okay, so I know I need this one white, this one white, this white, and I go ahead and paint the flag all white, and then I go back over it with the other colors. Let's see, that one. And then this one here will be white on the base. I have specific colors that the customer is requesting. She's wanting the paw to be black and white. She's wanting the flip-flop to be yellow and light blue. So I have to do certain colors on some of this stuff, but the rest of it is just kind of whatever I prefer. Okay. I'll start off with white since I have the most amount of that. And again, I'm just using the apple barrel from Walmart. It's cheap and it works. And on these, I'm only painting the front surface. I'm not painting the edges. Now on these, I am painting around the edges as the accents, but on the fronts of the thicker parts, I'm just painting the front only. And you're really not going to see that much of this, so I'm not going to paint the whole thing. Basically, you'll just be seeing where the holes are that I cut out. So I'm not going to bother being real particular on this because it's going to get covered up anyway with the 1/4 inch piece of material. All right, put that up to dry. First coat's going to look pretty thin, but I always put 2 coats on there and then the second coat will fill it in. After I get these done, I'm probably going to go ahead and speed up the camera because you don't want to be watching me for an hour painting all this. But I want to at least show you the colors that I'll be using on the other items. Okay. So I have light blue for the flip-flop. I have red for the birthday cake. I'll have black for this and yellow for this. So I'll go ahead and get started, and I'll go ahead and speed the camera up so you don't have to watch this whole thing. Okay, now I'm gonna have to let these dry. I'll put another coat on them so that when I go to the next step, it'll be easy and we'll be kind of just doing the finishing touches. See you soon. Okay, now to start again. So what I've done is I've put lines on here, and then I've put my tape on here for the, these are gonna be the red that I'm gonna paint in. And then I'll get that painted and get that set off to the side and drying while I'm working on the other ones. You want to make sure that your paint is good and dry before you stick this tape on, because it will pull the paint back up if you don't have a good dry surface. Red. And I just realized I forgot to tape off for the flag. So we better do that real quick. I stayed away from the line on purpose there because I realized I didn't tape that off. So, all right, so there's for that part. Okay, so we'll set that off to the side and let it dry. Okay, so now we are on to the flip-flop. Basically, this goes on here, and then that goes on as an accent. So what I'm going to need is a little bit of darker blue, because I just want to float an edge around here real lightly, just to kind of give it a little bit of depth. And what I'm doing is I'm just barely tipping the end in, and then just kind of floating around the edge. Okay. And then I want the pale blue. For the bottom of my flip-flop. As you can see, I'm just putting a real light float around the outside edge, just kind of highlight it a little bit. And then for my flower, I'm going to use orange. So let's see. I guess I can do just a little bit of red and yellow. Again, you don't need much, just on the tip end with, and don't let your brush just be a little wet yet. And so then that way it kind of floats around the edge. And don't worry if you get it a little heavy. Just go back over it and kind of work it out a little bit. And then on the other side, I'm going to do a little bit of white. With that, I want to put a little bit of white on here. Highlight it around. Okay. And then there's my flip-flop, my flower. And I want to put some white dots on the flower just to kind of bring it out a little bit. You can see it's just got a few little white dots. And then all of that will be glued together. And it will make the flip-flop. So I have a little bit of Gorilla Glue here. Once I get this all glued together, I will put a good sealer on this again. I usually use the Rust-Oleum matte. All right, I'll set that aside and let it set up. Okay, now on my paw, this one is going to be really simple because basically I have my paw now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on here, and then I'm just going to highlight a little bit around the edge. Okay, oops, I'm back here. All right, so there's that. And then what I'm gonna do is, oops, I'm gonna highlight on the inside a little bit with some black. If I had black. Again, I'm just dipping one end in, and then I work it a little bit because I don't want this very heavy. I just want to show like some shading down in here. Kind of shade around the outside edge. Kind of gives it a little added depth. Especially with it being black. I'm not sure. Normally I do like a green or a yellow, where I do like a pale yellow and a bright yellow. To me it looks a lot better, but this person wanted black, so that's what I'm doing. And then I'm just putting like little dots around it here to just kind of give it so it doesn't look so plain. And I'm just using the end of a pencil. You can use a stylus if you have one. That works really well. I usually grab whatever's handy. And as you can see, I use the back of the paintbrush to do dots, the eraser to do dots, depending on the size of the dots that I need. Oops, got a little too much on that one. All right, so that one's done. All right, next is my cupcake. Now on the cupcake, I'm just basically putting a little bit of white accent on the side here. All right, and then I'm doing yellow around the outside edge just to give it a little bit of color. As you can see, I messed that up. Try to brush. So if that happens, just get it before it dries. And redo it. Easy as that. All right, so there's that one. Now I need to go back in and do my white again. All right, so there's my accents. All right, and then on this part here, I'm using the red as the accent on the bottom. And then I'll use some white on the top. All right. Now, what I want to do is I want to use a bunch of different colors on the dots, and I did not get my paint out, so I'm gonna have to pause for a minute so I can go grab the right color. Sorry about that, I forgot to get my paint out. That's not very good. Okay, so I have blue, purple, red, green, and orange, and what I'm doing is I'm gonna make like confetti, I guess, on the frosting of the cake. So I just do random colors. As you can see, this time I'm just using an eraser. Guess I'll put one there. Okay. And then red. Orange. Oh, there we go. Orange is a little stringy. All right, and then some green ones. Got one spot there, but I don't know what color to put in there. I guess I'll put a red one. Okay, so I'm gonna have to let that dry. And so while I'm letting that dry, what I need to do is I need to put the stripes on my candle. So I just hold my brush there, try to rotate it around. So I'm just putting little stripes around it. Thought about putting this in my spinner for my cups. I think that would be a lot easier than try to spin this by hand because it wants to kind of tip on me, but it works. Okay, so there's my candle. So I'll let that dry. All right, and then while that's drying, I got a piece of felt. And I kind of drew just like a little flame on it. All right, I need to trim my frame down so it fits in the end of that pencil. All right, so there's my flame. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this orange, just kind of make not as easy on felt, but it works. Kind of looks orangey for the flame. All right. Put a little bit of white on this side. All right, and there's my little flame. That will go in the end of there. Okay, so I need to put another coat on my flag. All right. And then, like I said, once I'm done with these, I do put a sealer coat on them, just so they don't get nicked up, you know, through wear and tear, putting them in the box, because these are seasonal. So as, like I showed you on the welcome earlier, you know, as your holidays change, you'll change the O's. So these will be stored on and off throughout the year. So, all right. So there's that. We'll let that dry again. And the paint or the glue is dry now. So here's this one finished. And here's my flip-flop. And I'm still working on the candle and the flag. So it's going to be a little bit before this dries. I can go ahead and stick this on here. But I have to still put happy birthday on here. So I still got another step, but these dots are going to take a while to dry. So I'll have to get back with you on that. But we can at least get this started to dry and get this step going. All right. And then once this is good and dry, I will put that in the hole at the top and we will put our flame in there. So I will be back once we can complete that. Good morning and welcome back. So today we're going to finish up the cupcake and the flag. I had to leave this and dry all night, same with the flag, because the paint was a little thicker on it. We're going to go ahead and put a little bit of gator glue in here. Put in the candle, and then I have a little bit of black paint here for the happy birthday. Now you can also, if you're not real good at just drawing these letters out, you know, make a little template with your tracing paper and some little black graphite paper, and you can, you know, draw it on here if you don't feel comfortable doing this freehand. On some things I do, some things I don't. I'm not real good doing freehand because I have a habit of making things thicker and thinner. Okay, and then I'll go back in here and just put little dots just to kind of accent it a little bit. Like I said, on the dots, you can use whatever you have handy. Like I said, if you have a stylus works well too, to do perfect little dots. The back of your ink pen or pencil, your finger, if you want a bigger dot, your finger works perfect. If you're wanting bigger dots, about 1/2 inch in diameter, they work. Just your fingertip works very well. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can use to make a perfect circle, rather than have to try to paint it out and make it perfect. All right, and there's your happy birthday. And then on the flag, I'm gonna have the star on here. And then I'm just gonna put a ribbon on this one, just to add a little to it. I'm just tying it in a simple knot, nothing fancy. And then I want to clip the ends. Oh, I hope I did that right. All right, there we go. That's what I wanted. Okay, and there's your flag. So these are the items we made today. We have the happy birthday and the flag, and then these 2 items. Now, the very last thing, which I almost forgot, on the happy birthday. If you notice, or on my original, what I did on that was there it is. It's got like a little bit of a splash on it. Now, how you do that is you take, which I want to accent it in red, and make sure that your area is clean. There's nothing around that you don't mind getting paint on, because this will splash everywhere. Okay, so what I do is I take just a little bit of red paint, since I want red accent on it. Maybe. All right. And I wet my old toothbrush, because you kind of want this a little runny. You don't want it too runny. And you can see here, it's a little runny. So I'll take the excess off because I don't want a whole bunch on it. But just hold your item up and take the toothbrush and just flick it. And you can see it puts like little spots on it, like just that you threw paint on it. And so that's how you do that if you want the little bit extra accent on it. But like I said, as you can see, it makes a mess. So make sure you don't have any of your other paint items around when you do that. So what I'll do is I'll finish sealing these, put a sealer on them, and then they'll be ready to go out. I'll post the picture at the end so you can see once they're all completed and ready to go out the door. I appreciate you watching today. I hope you learned something and enjoyed this video. If you would like to look at any of my other items that I make, you can go to St. Cloud Crafty Crew. And if you're interested in any of them, just let me know and message me on there and I'll get back with you. Have a great day. Please like and subscribe to our channel and tell your friends. Thank you.